You mentioned in your talk the cycles of revenge that you saw people in.
Yes.
And I wanted to see if you wouldn't mind opening that up a little bit, just for us to understand what that is.
Well, I want to say, actually, your question has to be reversed. It is like, that's what we've been doing as human beings for as long as we've been Neanderthals and beyond. We've been like that. We've been avenging and revenging, and we've been in these cycles. So the miracle is that we actually stopped doing it. So the question is, here's what fascinates me. These European countries, so in 1992, I come to Europe, they're not killing one another.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this teeny tiny country, it's as flat as it can be. It's, I'm told, the size of Rhode Island. It's 6 feet under sea level. And people are coming from Persia. They're coming from all different parts of Africa. They're coming from the former Yugoslavia. And we're all like looking and thinking, wow. You know, the banks, the men and women, the whole thing functions. It's just mind-boggling. I'm only 22 years old. The women are dressed like you. They have a tank top, shorts. It's in the summer. And they're going about their business. The men, too. No one is, doing any... There's no sexual misconduct, at least that I could immediately see. And it was like, wow, what are they doing? And so that fascinates me. That's the fascinating story. The fascinating story is not why are human beings killing one another. That's been the story of humanity. What's fascinating is why did they then stop doing it?
I'm just so fascinated by the content of this little clip of Ayaan's. She was speaking there in Boulder in the USA a few years ago. Question asked of her presupposes the norm essentially to be the American way of life, that people live all told peacefully and in such a way as to render their country to be what is nowadays known as functional. Now Ayaan turns that around and says that the fact that people can follow this way of life is amazing.
How do we get to it? Even if it is only for a temporary period, the question is, how have people managed to live, and how do they still live in Western Europe, as in America, in this way in which they respect one another and function so harmoniously? Now it is this reversal that is really the underlying topic of my book, How Anti-Racism Harms Africa and How We Can Do Better. So I'm critiquing Western anti-racism. Why? Because it is based on a norm. It assumes in a sense that the Western way of life is normal, and the people who accuse others of being other than that normal, being other than peace-loving and living in harmony as it would in functional societies, are racist. Now within the West, that does make some sense, because we can't be thinking that it's something to do with one's skin colour or genetics that makes one capable of a peace-loving and intelligent kind of way of life.
Now the problem with that stand in anti-racism is exactly that the West is globally dominant, so that presupposition of the norm, if made in the West, comes to be extended globally. The assumption that everyone around the world actually is living as a Westerner does in a functional society, but for outside domination, occludes something from view. That which is occluded from view, I suggest, is much to do with the gospel of Jesus Christ. That is the core theme of my book on anti-racism, that today's anti-racism, by assuming the normality of European ways of life and insisting that everyone be considered to be following the same norm, occludes from view the means that Europeans have achieved that is, close adherence to the gospel of Jesus, which is nowadays so desirable to so many in the rest of the world. Occluding this from view interferes with others' acquisition of the gospel.